Well, hey, good morning. Welcome to Jessamine Christian. Pastor Lee, just so you know, is at the Extreme Character Challenge men's retreat this weekend. And so today you've got me here this morning. My name's KJ, and I'm the Connections Pastor here at Jessamine. And if I have not got a chance to meet you yet, would love to have an opportunity to do that. A few years back, several years back, actually, one of my best friends, Brad, received a surprise birthday experience. He had no idea what we were going to do, but me and two other guys picked him up one Friday morning. It was a Friday summer day, beautiful. We hopped in my Jeep. We had the top and doors off, and we headed down down Bluegrass Parkway towards Bardstown area. Again, he had no idea what we were doing, but once we got close to Bardstown, he yelled out, "I know what we're doing. Skydiving." And we all cracked up laughing because that is exactly what we were doing that day. Now, none of us had ever been skydiving before, so this was a new thing for all of us. So we pulled off of Bluegrass Parkway there at Bardstown. We went to the skydiving place. You're probably picturing this nice metal fabricated building with maybe a runway or something like that. It's not that at all. It's basically a field with a barn in it and then two country boys that just own this old beat up plane that people jump out of. And so we park, we walk up to the barn, and we meet our flight instructors that day, and they take us in. They have us sign our life away on the waiver just in case something crazy happens. And then they walk us in, and we're just kind of standing around this old wooden table, and they break out the 13-inch TV VCR combo, and they pop in the VCR tape for us to watch the safety video, which is basically pull the ripcord and hope that you don't die. And that's the whole gist of the safety video. So we do that. We finish that up. They get us all suited up with our equipment and our gear. So we've got helmets on. We've got our little goggles on. And then they give us our harness that we're wearing. Now, one thing I didn't tell you is the very first time that you go skydiving, you don't do a solo jump. You do what's called a tandem dive. So that means that you have a professional skydiver that you are strapped to. They are actually wearing the parachute. You are just wearing them, okay? So basically they have four little carabiner clips here, and here that they attach to your harness that you're wearing, and they actually have the backpack with the parachute in it. Now, there's also a 400-pound weight limit on these parachutes. At the time, I was probably like 235, so at most, my little buddy that was strapped on my back was like 150 pounds. And so I've got my little guy strapped on me, and we go over towards the plane. We get in this plane. There's about 10 of us going up. And again, this is an old beat-up plane. I swear it had to run a couple missions in Vietnam. It's got bullet holes on the side of it, the whole deal. So we get into this tiny little plane. It's just a single propeller on the front, and you can't stand up in it because it's so short, and there's not even really seats in it, so it's just like a metal floor that we're all just sitting on. And so we get in this thing, and we go to take off, and again, no runway, it's just a field. So we get up in the air miraculously, and then we just start doing this until we hit 20,000 feet in the air. Now, at this point, it is loud, it's windy, it's freezing cold because you're so high up, and we get up there, and they say, "Okay, who's going first?" And of course, all my buddies point at me. They're like, "KJ." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I scooch over towards the edge of where the door is. Now, I didn't tell you also, I'm a little bit afraid of heights. And I love experiences like this, but still a little bit scared of heights. But we're going to go for it. So I slide over towards the door. They unzip the door because, yes, it had a tent zipper door on this airplane that I was about to jump out of. So I scoot over, I get my feet out of the door, and all you see is just clouds because you're above the clouds at this point. I'm holding on to the door. Well, apparently that's not where I was supposed to be because the professional skydiver, he needed to be sitting where I was sitting. So he smacks my hands off and kind of shoves me out of the plane, and now I'm just dangling at 20,000 feet outside of the plane, strapped to my little buddy on my back here. And he goes, "You ready?" I'm like, "I guess." And so we go 1, 2, and we do a front flip out of the plane and then straight down. My buddy Scott was right behind me, and he said, "KJ, you dropped like a piano." It was just gone, disappeared in the clouds. So you're 20,000 feet up. You drop the first half of that, 10,000 feet, you drop in 20 seconds, okay? It is just lightning fast down. And then as we're falling down, I'm just yelling full volume, full on adrenaline rush, everything I've got volume the whole time. And I realized my guys just pat me on the chest. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh yeah, I have one job. So I pull the ripcord because luckily it was still in time. We made it. And so it is the hardest yank you've ever felt in your entire life. You go from full terminal velocity speed to like zero speed altogether in 1 second. And it just jerks you and yanks you so hard. And then we kind of float down the rest of the way down. And then he's got little controls on the parachute, so he can steer it however he wants to. And so he's doing turns and spins. And I'm like, let's maybe take it easy on the spins because I'm really not feeling good at this point. So we get all the way down to the ground. We land. We wait for everybody else to come down. My buddy, whose birthday it was, he actually vomits over on the side of the road. So anyway, we got back in my Jeep and laughed and talked all the way home. But it was an incredible experience, and we still remember that. We still talk about that and laugh about that. Those times that you have with friends where the memories last a lifetime. And skydiving, man, it is a crazy experience, especially tandem jumping, because in all reality, you are placing your life in someone else's hands. Fun fact about skydiving, did you know you don't pack your own parachute? Another jumper packs your chute for you. And I think they just assume that you're going to pay crazy close attention if someone's life is your responsibility. So when you're packing that chute, this guy you're looking at across the table, he's going to be using it. And he's packing your chute as well. So we figure we're going to do each other a good favor and really be careful while we're packing those chutes. Do you trust anybody that much? I don't know if I do. What kind of friends do you have in your life? To be honest, and we said this a little bit during this series, I think females are a lot better at friendships than guys are. I was going through a mentoring program a few years back, and they asked me about my circle of influence. They asked, who are the 5 people that have the most influence on your life? Who are your closest friends? Who do you talk to every day? And I'll admit, at that time in my life, I was struggling, and I had to put some thought into who are 5 guys in my life that would fit that description. My wife, Adria, has probably 7 or 8. She was up here singing 2 seconds ago. She probably has 7 or 8 girls that she communicates with every single day. So whether that's on phone or FaceTime or through text or over social media, every single day. Guys may go days or weeks. I've gone months without talking to the people that we would consider our closest friends. We're just not as good at that. Some people may just have a few acquaintances that they talk to at work. But when they leave work, that's it. They may not talk to anybody else the rest of the day. Again, I think men struggle with this a little more than ladies. However, I will say that now I have a short list of guys that I know for a fact that are there for me. One of my best friends, Todd, he's usually in here at second service. We don't talk every single day. Todd, I know that I could call him at 3 a.m. He would be at my house, wouldn't ask any questions. He would just say, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Do I need to bring a gun? And I think, I lead a group of guys on a Friday mornings for a discipleship breakfast. And we've met for years. It's been literally probably 12, 15 years that I've met with a group of guys on Friday mornings. And honestly, any of those guys would fit that description. The other pastors on staff here with me, Doug, Lee, and Tim, same thing. A lot of you may not know this about me, and I'm going to be transparent here. I went through a divorce several years ago, and that was the most difficult time of my life. And these were the guys that stood by my side when it felt like so many others had turned their back on me. They say that when you go through something hard, you find out who your real friends are. We all love the idea of friendship, right? The kind that celebrates us and supports us and shows up when life is tough. But here's where I want to go today. Real friendship isn't just about encouragement. It's also about honesty. True friends love you enough to tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hard to hear. We're in the middle of this series, Better Together. And during this series, we're taking a look at some famous friends from the Old Testament, seeing what we can learn from their lives. And today, like Tim said, we're going to look at Moses and his brother Aaron. Now, Moses and Aaron, I think they give us a really powerful picture of what godly friendship looks like, of that kind of friendship that's both supportive and honest. Their relationship definitely wasn't perfect, but it was real. And through it, I think that we can learn what godly friendship looks like. Total side note here. I may get in trouble for this, but my wife grew up on the movie Prince of Egypt, and she always thought that animated Moses was just so handsome. And I'm like, babe, that is a cartoon character. So anyway, here we go. We're going to be in our Bibles in Exodus chapter 4. We're going to be in Exodus the majority of the morning here. So if you want to go ahead and turn there, if you got your app on your phone, you can use that as well. Exodus chapter 4, we're going to read verses 10 through 16. Let me set the scene for you first. Israel is enslaved by Egypt, okay, and it's been that way for a while. Moses, he's out walking around one day in the wilderness, and he sees this bush that is on fire but not being burnt up, okay? And God speaks to him from the burning bush. You've probably heard this story. He tells him that he wants him to go to Egypt and tell Pharaoh, the most powerful man on the planet, to let the Israelites go free. We'll pick this up in verse 10, chapter 4. It says, Moses pleaded with the Lord, "Oh Lord, I'm not very good with words. I never have been, and I'm not now. Even though you've spoken to me, I get tongue-tied, my words get tangled." Then the Lord asked Moses, "Who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak, hear or do not hear, see or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you with what to say." But Moses again pleaded, "Lord, please send anyone else." Then the Lord became angry with Moses. "All right," he said, "what about your brother, Aaron, the Levite? I know he speaks well. And look, he's on his way to meet you now. He will be delighted to see you. I will talk to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be with both of you as you speak, and I will instruct you both in what to do. Aaron will be your spokesman to the people. He will be your mouthpiece, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say." Here's our first point today. True friends step in when we are weak. Let me give you the background again. The nation of Israel has been enslaved to the Egyptians for years and years. When God calls Moses to lead Israel out of Egypt, Moses immediately starts making excuses after excuses. Look at what he says in verse 10. "Lord, I'm not very good with words. I never have been. I'm not now. Even though you have spoken to me, I get tongue-tied and my words get tangled." I can't tell if he's being scared here or if he's being humble or if he really thinks that about himself. Here's a thought on that. If you look at Numbers chapter 12, verse 3, it says this. It says, "Now Moses was very humble, more humble than any other person on earth." That's a pretty big statement and really nice to say about someone. However, you have to keep in mind who wrote the book of Numbers. Moses wrote the book of Numbers. Okay? So essentially, he is saying, I am the most humble person on earth. Humble brag indeed. Now, normally when you say you're the most, fill in the blank with literally anything, person on earth, it's going to come across as arrogant. All right, let's try it out. I'm the most handsome person on earth. Arrogant. I am the most talented person on earth. Arrogant also. I am the smartest person on earth. Arrogant. What about, I'm the most humble person on earth? I guess maybe that's humble. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out. Anyway, at this point in his life, Moses feels inadequate. He doesn't think he's capable or worthy. We've probably all been there. Moses doesn't feel qualified to do what God is asking him to do. So what does God do? He brings Aaron into Moses' life. Look again at verses 14 through 16. He says, what about your brother Aaron? I know he can speak well. He'll speak to the people for you. Here's the truth. God often sends friends to strengthen our calling and steady our hearts. He often places friends in our lives to fill the gaps where we feel weak. Aaron became the voice when Moses couldn't speak, and he became a teammate in the mission of God. So think through that. Who in your life has stepped in to help when you were weak? And just as importantly, whose weakness has God called you to support? Sometimes I think we resist help because we think it makes us look weak. We all like to think that we're strong enough to get through whatever life throws at us. Like, I'll be fine. But if we're really honest with ourselves, we're just not. And God uses friendship to remind us that we're not meant to do life alone. Listen to this. Friendship isn't about finding people who make you comfortable. It's about finding people who make you better. Let me say that again. Friendship is not about finding people who make you comfortable. It's about finding people who make you better. Okay, a little different today. I need a volunteer from a crowd. I need a high school boy. Who thinks, come on. Yeah, you're getting volunteered whether you raise your hand or not. Come on. Yeah, come on. You got it. Yeah. It's going to be great. Come on up. Awesome. Tell everybody your name just so everybody knows you.
All right. I'm Ethan.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, that's good. Come over here. You're going to stand on this side of me. All right, I've got a simple task for you. Okay, this is a 12-pound dumbbell. So just for reference, I bought these dumbbells because my wife said she needed 12-pound dumbbells. So that's what this is. This is one of those dumbbells. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to hold it just like right here. Okay? You can switch hands if you need to, but I want you to keep that dumbbell like right here. Does that make sense? Good? You're just going to boop, straight out there. Awesome. Good job. Okay, so one of the best examples of this kind of friendship is from Exodus chapter 17. So Moses, he sends the Israelite army out to fight the Amalekites. He tells Joshua, he says, take some men and go out and fight. And then he says in verse 9, let's pick it up there. He says, tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill holding the staff of God in my hand. That's what you're doing. You're representing Moses. Doing good? Okay, awesome. I know. So Joshua did what Moses had commanded, and he fought the army of Amalek. Yeah, switching it up. There we go. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur, they climbed to the top of a nearby hill. As long as Moses held that staff up in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But when he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up. You know how that feels, right? Yeah, we're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. Switching it up. Here we go, switching it up. So Aaron and Hur, they found a stone for him to sit on. They stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. Okay, so his hands held steady until sunset. As a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. You doing good? Keep going. We're going to hold that arm up. We're going to hold it up. Yeah, there it is, strong. So what an incredible picture of support here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Aaron and Hur, they realized that Moses couldn't do this by himself. He desperately needed their help, and so they decided to do what was necessary, and they physically held his arms up for him, okay, when he no longer could do it on his own. I mean, what a great picture of friendship. This is support in every way possible, right? Emotional, mental, spiritual, and obviously physical. Great job. I'll take it. All right, give him a hand. That's super hard. He's like, I didn't even volunteer for that. So who do you have in your corner that's actually physically there to support you? And who do you do that for? It might be helping somebody move, okay, which is the ultimate test of true friendship, right? Because moving is the worst. And moving other people is even worse than that. But a real friend shows up for that. All right, let's keep moving. Let's look at Exodus chapter 18. Exodus 18. We're going to read through verses 13 through 24. Fast forward a little bit in time. We're established as a nation now, and we're going to talk about this. So it says, the next day Moses took his seat to hear the people's disputes against each other. They waited before him from morning till evening. When Moses' father-in-law, this is Jethro, saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, "What are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around you from morning till evening?" Moses replied, "Because the people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me. I'm the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decrees and give them his instructions." Okay? So Moses is sitting, listening to people. He's giving rulings, and he's doing it all day, every day. Then listen to this. "This is not good," Moses' father-in-law exclaimed. "You're going to wear yourself out and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me and let me give you a word of advice, and may God be with you." We're going to skip down a little bit. He said, "Select from the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups." And then down a little further, he says, "They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace." Moses listened to his father-in-law's advice and followed his suggestions. Second thing I want us to pull out of this passage today is that true friends tell us the hard truth. So here's the summary. Moses, he's led Israel out of Egypt. The Red Sea has parted. Manna has fallen from heaven. God's people are free. But now Moses is overwhelmed. He's spending all day judging disputes among the people. All day, every day, he's just sitting in a chair listening to people argue and complain against each other. I mean, can you imagine just listening to multiple people argue and complaining all day? You're like, yeah, I've got 3 kids. Two things with this. Number one, Moses has got to be exhausted, just tired of listening to people complain. But look at it from the other side as well. Some of these people have probably waited days and days to finally get in front of Moses. And when they do, and they're hoping for that honest and fair judgment, and they're standing before him as like the 117th case that he's seen that day, do you think they really got the best possible judgment for their verdict? Enter Jethro, Moses' father-in-law and a friend. He watches for one day. That's all it took, one day. And he says in verse 17, "What you're doing, it's not good." That's honesty. That's love. Jethro, he could have kept quiet. He could have said, "You know what? Moses is the leader. Who am I to question him?" But instead, he speaks truth that Moses needed to hear. He says, "You and all these people who come to you, you're only going to wear yourselves out." And he then offers wise counsel. And get this, Moses listens to his father-in-law. Fellas, that's hard to do. His father-in-law gave him advice. But it wasn't just his father-in-law, it was his friend. Moses was messing up and probably hurting some people in the process. But he didn't realize it. He'd been doing it for so long, he didn't even pay attention to it. And so he was blind to it. The truth is this: good friends sometimes see what we can't, or what we refuse to see, or what we ignore, or what we've gotten used to in our life. And then they love us enough to say something about us. Bad friends flatter us. Good friends form us. Bad friends tell us what we want to hear. Good friends tell us what we need to hear. Lee read this verse last week, Proverbs 27:6. "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." Jethro's words could have wounded Moses' pride, but instead they saved his life and ultimately his ministry. Moses could have gotten defensive. He could have refused to admit that he was wrong. He could have argued with him. He could have said, "Who do you think you are?" But he didn't do that. What did he do? Wait for it. This is going to blow your mind. He was humble enough to listen to it and take it to heart, knowing that it was coming with the best intentions. So maybe Moses was humble after all. So who in your life has the freedom to say to you, listen, what you're doing, it's not good? And here's the real question. Are you humble enough to listen to it when they do say that? And then, of course, I think we've got to ask ourselves, are you the kind of friend that loves others enough to speak the truth in love? Third thing I want you to see today is that true friend strengthens our obedience to God. True friendship strengthens our obedience to God. The friendship between Moses and Aaron, it wasn't perfect. Later, Aaron made mistakes. Maybe you remember the golden calf. This is when Moses goes up the mountain to meet God and get the 10 Commandments. Well, he's gone for what seemed like forever, and so the people get impatient and they start complaining and grumbling, and they go to Aaron. Aaron panics and just caves in and gives in to the people, gives them what they want, a tangible thing that they can worship. And so they decided to build a statue of a golden calf. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but that's what they did, and then they start worshiping this thing. Well, Moses comes down the mountain with the 10 Commandments and obviously freaks out. He loses his temper. He breaks the set of stone tablets that the 10 Commandments are written on, and then he has to go through the whole process again. Moses made mistakes too. Not either of their finer moments here. Their relationship wasn't perfect. They both made mistakes. You've probably been there in some of your relationships and friendships. Not exactly there with the 10 Commandments and all that. But through it all, God uses their friendship to accomplish his purpose. Go back to the previous point. Exodus chapter 18, verse 23. Jethro tells Moses, he says, if you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures and all these people will go home in peace. Jethro is helping Moses out with his mission. And that's the goal of godly friendship, right? To help each other stand firm and follow God faithfully. Listen to this. Real friends don't just make life easier. They make our faith stronger. They remind us who God is when we forget. They call us higher when we settle for less. And man, I don't ever want to do that. Settle for less. Doesn't that just sound awful? Yeah, I've decided to just settle for less. Nope, not doing it. Real friends don't let you do that. And good. I don't want friends that let me settle. I want friends that are going to call me out when I do something stupid. I want friends that are going to hold me accountable. I want friends that are going to look at me and say, what are you doing? I want friends that aren't going to let me settle, but instead, they're going to make me better. Because deep down inside, we all want that, right? We want to be better. We want to be better husbands, better wives, better friends. We want to be better parents. We want to be better followers of Jesus. We just want to be better people. Aaron supported Moses' calling. Jethro corrected Moses' direction. Both of them helped Moses stay faithful to God. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, 9 and 10, we've read this several times, but it says 2 are better than 1. Because if either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Look, we live in a world where people value comfort over truth. But God calls us to relationships that go deeper than that, to friendships that speak life, truth, and wisdom. Godly friendship is honest friendship. We all need friends that speak both truth and grace. Moses had Aaron. He had Jethro. Who do you have that can speak truth into your life? And who has God placed in your life that you can speak truth to? Here's the closing challenge for you today. This week, ask God two things. Number one, who do I need to listen to? Maybe someone has been trying to tell you something that you don't want to hear. Number two, who do I need to speak to? Maybe God's prompting you to lovingly confront or encourage somebody you care about. And honestly, you may look at your life right now at this stage and go, you know what? I don't really have friends like that. Get some. Look around you right now. There are a couple hundred people in this room that are all looking for the same thing. Link arms with a group of people and start doing life together. If you're not already a part of one, find a life group that you can join. There's several options for everyone on our website. Groups are open now. You can be a part of those. Start to develop those relationships that are going to point you in the right direction. Because life is better together. Here's the takeaway. We all need friends who encourage our faith and refine our leadership. I'll say this again. Friendship isn't about finding people who make you comfortable. It's about finding people who make you better. Remember, our challenge for you this whole series, thank a friend, pray for a friend, invite a friend. Flannel Sunday, it's going to be coming up in 2 weeks on the 23rd. It's going to be a fun day. I encourage you, have fun with it. It's going to be a big blowout day. We're encouraging everyone to try to wear a flannel shirt. If you're thinking, man, I don't have a flannel shirt, go to Walmart, go to Goodwill, get a flannel shirt. We're just all going to do it. It's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it. Have fun with it. We're going to have some extra things happening that Sunday beyond just everybody wearing a flannel shirt. And reminder, this is the day we definitely want you to invite a friend. On your way out today, you can grab a couple of these cards. We've got those out at Connection Point, just 2x2 cards, little small things. They got a QR code on the back. They got our service times on the front. You can grab those. Connection Point out at the tables outside as well. Take them to people that you know. Invite them to come on the 23rd. Obviously, invite them to come on the 23rd wearing a flannel shirt. That's what we want. Thank a friend. Pray for a friend. Invite a friend. Let me pray for us. Father God, we are so grateful that you have placed people in our life that can hold us accountable, that we can also hold accountable, God. I just pray you continue to bless us with friendships that honor you, friendships that point us closer to you. God, friendships that call us higher, that don't let us settle. So, Father, may we look at the story of Moses and Aaron, and may we see from their example, from a friendship that wasn't perfect, but God, they were both going the same direction. May we learn from that example as how we want to live our life. So, Father, if we don't have them in our life, that kind of friend, I pray that you will place people in our path. People that are going to help sharpen us and make us better, more like you. Father, give us the courage to say the things we need to our friends as well. And Father, thank you for the ultimate example of Jesus, who was the best friend we could have ever had, who gave his everything for us. And may we follow that lead as we serve the people around us in our relationships. Lord, thank you for him. Thank you for Jesus. In his name we pray. Amen.